Grand opening, grand closing.
Welcome, my friends, my family, my fellow gamers. It's your only friend, these YouTube streets, Puerto77, back with another video and a bit of a commentary. One of my previous videos, I stated that the last fan base that advocates for console gaming is now PlayStation and Nintendo gamers, right? And I made a tweet about that, and I'm going to tell you exactly how do we get here and why, right? We got to look at today's generation, the younger gamers that started gaming over the last couple of years, whatever. They are used to, playing their content everywhere. Some of the biggest factors in that are games like Fortnite, Minecraft, right? Call of Duty. There's a lot of games that you can play everywhere, a lot of free-to-plays that you can play everywhere. So that's just a natural assimilation of the culture of what they grew up and what they're used to, okay? The problem is the console fan base that are fanboys and cucks to the company, right? And I know I talk shit about, Xbox, and I will not deny the fact that I participate in console war. I love the jokes. I do all that. But no point will I shift what I loved about console gaming or what I do love about console gaming when Sony decides it's not for them. It is what it is, right? And what I mean by that is this concept that console gaming or games on console should just be all everywhere on every platform. Let's talk about the positives to that, right? Of course, the argument is it's good for the consumer. The consumer can choose whatever platform they want to play on. If they want to play on PC, play on PC. If you want to play on Xbox, you want to play on Xbox. You play on PlayStation, and that's it. It's the best consumer-friendly option. That is the true consumer option. If you're a gamer that chooses for exclusives, it's because you cuck for the company and you're not really for the gamer. And that's the main part of that one side. The opposite side, for those that understand the advantages of console gaming, is because console gaming helps push gaming forward by being diverse. It wasn't about games being available on everywhere, because technically everyone has access to the games. You just have to buy the platform that has the games on it. But ultimately, the diversity of platforms that we had in console gaming or in gaming industry in general, that's what truly pushed console gaming or gaming overall. When you had Nintendo and Sega with their exclusives, TurboGrafx-16, NEC who made that, Neo Geo and all that stuff, they pushed exclusives because that's what was geared toward, attracted consumers. Some platforms did it better than others. That's just the nature of the beast of competition. Overall, that's how you got true competition between competitors and makers of gamers, right? And in their quest to be better, or how would you say, to be out the competition, they always try to find ways in gaming and in technology to outperform and outdo the competitors. In other words, they say buy our box because our box have this, that, these games and all that stuff. All of that was led to a competition where the other market has to be like, hold on, but we got this, we got that, we can do this, we got these games and we got this and that. That diversity and uniqueness of each of the platforms is what pushed gaming overall for the better, right? If you look at it now, right, let's use PlayStation, let's use the 9th gen, 8th gen, let's use the 7th gen of gaming. If you own 3 platforms, you own the GameCube, you own the PlayStation 2, and you own the Xbox, OG Xbox, right? And we'll throw in the Dreamcast, which didn't last long. 4 platforms, you had 4 unique identities and 4 robust gaming libraries. If you own right now, even PC, we'll throw in PC in that equation. PC, GameCube, Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, OG Xbox One, you pretty much had a very good, unique ecosystem of gaming platforms, right? Some did better than others, some had more exclusive than others, but overall, it was a very unique identity. Now do that today. If you own a PC, Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation 5, the real big catalyst, to be honest, among those 4 is Switch and PC. Those are the 2 stark huge contracts. PS5 got some exclusives, but a lot of the games are on PC, primarily multiplats. Everything on Xbox is on PC, and Microsoft's making more games on PS5. So owning more of these platforms, there's less differences. You have to pinpoint and zero in on specific titles to really figure out what platforms and differences they have, right? And that's what happens when you have the merging of software everywhere, right? Now the platforms and hardware doesn't really mean much. Now, people asking, but it shouldn't be about the hardware, right? Or at least at that. Play games anywhere and develop the hardware to make it competitive. That's the argument, right? That console should be based on the merit of the hardware and UI and technology, not the software it locks down. Here's the problem and the false logic on that. Here's the bad logic behind that. We'll use this gen of consoles. We'll use the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5, ninth generation consoles. When the consoles was about to launch, 2020, you saw nothing but talk about hardware. Many conversations was completely exaggerated, a lot of lies, we all witnessed that. Some factual truth, some just general informative information. All of this led to people deciding what consoles they want. Some people felt the Xbox Series X was going to be the most powerful console in the world. Therefore, they definitely want to play their multiplats as a console gamer there. Some people looked at the PlayStation 5, the magic of the SSD and haptic feedbacks and all this other stuff. Maybe they want to play their games because they want a new level of experience. There was something from the technology, hardware, and UI that's there. That's 2020. Now let's fast forward today in 2024. Who has those conversations as a deciding point to buy a PS5 or Xbox Series X? Who's doing that today? Who today is still talking about the difference between 12 T-flops all the way and 10.3 T-flops variable? Who's talking about smart chips? Who's talking about the magic SSDs? Who's talking about VRS, velocity architecture? All these buzzwords in technology, who is using that today as a deciding factor for console, on which console I'm going to buy? Hardly anybody. No one really cares. The deciding factor is the software. That is how console gaming always have. It's always been a software-driven metric, right? And these consoles, or console gaming, has always been best when the console platform provider had a vision of the type of software, the type of audience they're going to cater to, and not this catch-all, everybody share the same stuff, right? A great gen for Xbox gamers was de facto the 360. But Xbox had a vision for the 360. They had pretty much internet, multiplayer integration. They had their achievement systems, right? They had party chat. They really want to truly, what they started with the OG Xbox One with their online, they really took it to a new level, and they felt this is how they're going to carve out the industry with technology and integration with their games. And a lot of their games was very focused on co-op and multiplayer. To this day, a lot of people who play on the Xbox was because they're primarily multiplayer games, and Xbox was the platform for that, while PlayStation was the single player console. Two different identities, right? But both identities was excelled really well. They did a good job of doing that. PlayStation 3 pushed a lot of single player games. They did push out multiplayer, few, not to the level of what Xbox 360 was able to achieve with Halo 3 and Gears and stuff, but they did something. But when it came to first party, single player games, masterful. They truly, especially towards the tail end of the PlayStation 3, masterclass single player experiences. So PlayStation, the single player lonely station. Xbox is the multiplayer with piss poor single player games. Two different identities that cater to console gamers, and they were able to compete. And that's how they grew, and made console gaming better. But now things have changed. And what was funny is things are changed because people, the Xbox primarily, guys, no longer care about console because they care more about the company and the fact that they were wrong. Hear me out. I'll go back to PC real quick. PC does not care about console or hardware. They already decided on PC gaming. They're used to iterative hardware. Buy the components, build the thing you want. The thing about PC is there is no true first-party advocate. There's nobody that's going to prevent a game being locked out of PC. So they have huge investment to ensure that every gamer in the gaming industry understands that software should not be locked out of hardware. That is the best way to ensure every single game made in the industry, regardless who makes it, even if it's a first-party platform provider, keep the mind of, no, every software needs to be everywhere. But in reality, they just want to make sure that the game is on PC. They could give two shits if it's on another, like on Nintendo, whatever. And I'm going to prove to that point to you, right? So that's their end. Xbox used to be that way, Okay, Xbox gamers used to be about console exclusives to Xbox. It can't be on other competing platforms. Give an identity. Microsoft called that identity and make it about multiplayer, right? That was their big thing. Excuse me again, right? Let's go back to the Activision Blizzard deal, right? All that time when everybody thought that if Microsoft acquires ABK, a lot of the new games from ABK will be exclusive to Xbox ecosystem. Obviously, it's going to be on PC, but those games that would have been on PlayStation will no longer be on PlayStation. It will be on Xbox and PC. But if you're a console gamer and you want to play these Activision games, Bethesda games and all that stuff, that makes Xbox more appealing over PlayStation. Sure, it won't make you choose Xbox over PC because the games are still on PC. But for the console-centric consumer, it's a battle between Xbox and PlayStation. And if you love Bethesda games, if you love the ABK games, yep, you're going to buy an Xbox. This was the conversation throughout the whole ABK deal. And during that conversation, PC gamers was not against that deal, even though it could potentially have locked out games from PlayStation ecosystem. They didn't advocate to say, no, this deal cannot happen because you're going to lock games out of PlayStation. Therefore, games need to be everywhere, which is their mantra. But notice, in a scenario where games are going to be locked out of PlayStation, they didn't care. Because ultimately, they don't really care if games are everywhere. They only care that as long as it's on PC, it doesn't matter if it's on Nintendo, if it's on Xbox or PlayStation. Just ensure there's a PC version, and that's it. Which I'm not mad at them. Obviously it's a selfish hobby. They're advocating for the platform they play on. They don't need to advocate on the platform they don't play on. But what's funny is they get mad when those of us who advocate for the platform we play on, we look like the fanboys or cucks or whatever because we're not catering to their needs. To which I say, too bad. We don't have to cater to your needs. You chose PC. That's where you want to play. Accept the consequences or whatever of that decision. But for the console gamers, especially the Xbox gamers, you guys abandoned a console gamer, which only leads to me is that you guys were never really console gamers. Because if you guys were true console gamers, you will support the platforms that still has fundamentally the idea of what a console should do and let them know and be like, hey, PlayStation, Nintendo, do not make the same mistakes my favorite brand did with Microsoft. If you make those mistakes, you're going to head down the same road. Consoles need to be diverse. They need to have their own identity. They need to have their own exclusives. And those exclusives and games need to be built to take advantage of the hardware. And the companies, if they continue to make hardware, you need to focus on hardware, bring the best technologies and best stuff to create the best games. Do your part in this big pie. Do your slice, right? Do your little piece, right, of the overall pie of gaming, and make gaming better your way. Make gaming better the Nintendo way. Make gaming better the PlayStation way. And at a certain point, we hoped that Xbox would make gaming better the Xbox way by introducing innovative, unique, exclusive features that they can introduce in gaming. And sometimes those exclusive features eventually gets adopted and become the standard. For example, the achievement system. It was an exclusive feature for Xbox. It was great, and it became so popular. PlayStation created trophy support. Even phones started using it. I still think Nintendo still hasn't done their thing. I'm not sure. But Steam has Steam Achievements. Achievements is now synonymous with gaming thanks to Xbox innovation and attempt to do something different than their competitors. It wasn't about, hey, let's create achievements and let's make sure PlayStation can use it and Nintendo can use it on their Wii and PC can use it. And man, let's just make sure let's create something that everybody can know. Microsoft had this vision of, we got to convince people to buy our console and not the PlayStation console. What can we do to that? Hey, let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get these games. Let's have this game. Let's create this game. Let's focus more on something PlayStation's weak at, which is multiplayer. Let's do a better integration of our UI and online, lobby system and all that, while PlayStation's is trash and all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? This is how we get competition in gaming. It's not about everything looking the same and every game being everywhere. It's actually stupid because it's dull and gaming becomes generic when everything is everywhere, just like bland. You understand what I'm saying? You're not going to get a lot of creativity and innovation in a market like that. Identities need to carve out their identity, and it's primarily through software, as always. Now here's where I have to give another beef on PC gamers. You're the biggest advocate saying console gamers or console gaming needs to be competitive and sell on the merit of the hardware, technology, and UI. Okay, got it. There is one way that could potentially lead to that. If games is everywhere and console is supposed to compete on the merit of the hardware and what the company does when they create these hardwares and the UIs, right? Clearly from the past and currently even, that doesn't work with the model we have now. Because again, with the PS5, no one cares about the hardware now, and no one really cares about the hardware of the Series X. It's all about the software. So how do we inject a system to make the conversation, hardware and technologies as the forefront of how to sell these consoles? Well, the answer would be mid-gen refresh. PlayStation's about to release a PS5 Pro, so you can argue that if all games are everywhere, then people could be like, well, I play on PlayStation. Why you play on PlayStation? Well, I like the PlayStation 5 and it was good, but now it's time to upgrade and whatever, and PlayStation provides that. They're about to release the PS5 Pro, great technology, better specs. I get to play the games better. I get to transition all the games I bought on the ecosystem, transition over to the PlayStation 5. Based on hardware, technologies, and the things they do, that's why I play. And that's the world you guys want. That's really what you want. So now Microsoft has to answer back. You know what? We didn't make a mid-gen refresh this gen. We're not going to make that mistake again, because now it's all about how well we do these mid-gen refresh so we can reinvigorate the conversation technology. And if people are happy on how we do these bumps, you know what? People could say, well, really, yeah, PC has great hardware, more powerful, but I don't like the UI. I don't like the challenge of installing a new video card. People could be like, I just prefer just to buy a console, and the fact that the companies create these mid-gen refresh so I could always have great technology, great performance as things move on, I'm happy with that. Great conversation. Great point to lead to that. The problem is you PC guys are thrashing the PS5 Pro. If anything, you guys should be advocating for the PS5 Pro, because that's a way to get what you guys want. Get people away from talking about lockdown exclusive software and talk about more on what the company is doing to provide you better technologies so you can play your games better. But not even that. You're not even supporting that. Many of you PC gamers is a waste. So let's be honest. You don't want consoles to have exclusive software. You don't want these console manufacturers to make iterative consoles which can improve performance. Then what the fuck do you want? I know what you want. You just simply want consoles to not exist and everybody to play on PC, which is, I'm going to be honest, embarrassing. Like, why would you even care about that? Like, why would you care and try to force one platform on everyone? That's just downright embarrassing. I don't get it. Like, listen, you got your PC, just like everyone else. When you choose your platform, there's a positive and there's a consequence to that decision, right? You make the best decision for yourself. PlayStation gamers bought their PlayStation. There's a positive and consequence, right? You got, you know, amazing first party titles. You got great third party support, right? But maybe you wished, PSN Plus had day and date games like Xbox Game Pass. Maybe you're one of those gamers, right? Well, guess what? You don't. That's the consequence of owning the platform. This is what you have to deal with. If you're an Xbox gamer, hey, you like Game Pass, you love the Series S options, cool. But now, first party's kind of weak. Your first party's going to PlayStation, which you could have been like, damn, I could have bought a PlayStation if that was going to happen. Potential third party getting less 30% support. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? That's a consequence. For PC gamers, you got an incredible, a versatility on the type of PC you want. You can pay for the type of performance you get. You could go balls to the walls, all the bells and whistles with the 4090 and not get compromise on most games. Or you could be more moderate, get a 2070, 2080, whatever, and generally have a good experience. The world is yours. But because you don't have a first party advocate, things like what Sony does could interfere. You could see games that PlayStation locks out, such as, or that way you have to wait or you don't get it at all. So let's say, for example, Final Fantasy Rebirth. It's going to come to PC, but you're going to have to wait. Or Rockstar decides, hey, PC gamers, you're going to have to wait because we're focused on consoles, or games like Stellar Blade where you don't know if you're going to get it. I mean, it's not a constructive environment where you have an advocate to ensure those things don't happen. So you get what you get, right? There's a pros and cons to all these platforms. But ultimately, the diversity of platforms is what truly gamers benefit. Because then each platform will have to make a decision on, how can I get the consumer to buy my product? And you're going to get that less and less in this homogenous world of where software is everywhere, right? And the only battle left is the mid-gen refresh, because that's probably the only thing left. But even then, that's not going to be a good thing, because the one main key that truly made consoles successful is the first party and the attempt to make exclusives made for the console. And you're not going to see that as much. You're going to see generic multi-platform development. You're going to see a slight quality go down, especially those of you who love those little details of, oh, my clothes is wet, freckles on the face, all that stuff. You're going to see less of that, right? Because as games have to be made on more platforms, that gets harder and harder to do. To be honest, it's not even worth the time, because what you're going to do is either going to play the game or not play the game. And that's just pretty much it, right? So all those details, all those developments, all those high blockbuster things, right? Unless you're Rockstar and you're willing to take 9 years to make a game, you're not going to do all those attention to detail things, especially if you're going to try to push out a game in 4 to 5 years on all these platforms. You're going to get what you get. You're going to get a generally good game. You're probably not going to get enhanced games that really make a mark in gaming. It is what it is. It becomes generic, right? You won't see much competition in this world. It's just be a generic idea of games all over, and you get what you get, you buy what you buy, So with that, if you're a console gamer and you grew up on consoles, you should know better and know exactly what made gaming great and how gaming advanced, okay? If your brand failed, stop cucking for the brand. And yes, I'm talking to you Xbox gamers. Just let it go, right? You should support Nintendo and PlayStation, because they primarily still do what you wanted Xbox to do, but they're not doing it anymore. Most of you guys are now saying, oh, I love the idea of me playing games everywhere. Yet I go back 3-4 years on your podcast. Hell, not even 3-4 years. Literally last year during the ABK deal. You guys weren't talking that. You guys were talking about exclusives, games that won't be on PlayStation, and how those potential exclusives from Bethesda and ABK will make the Xbox console an attractive product. Those are the conversations you were having. Only now, you're no longer having those conversations because you already know what Microsoft decided. And instead of saying, that's bullshit, you should have put the effort to make console, appealing, because we need an Xbox to be appealing. We need an Xbox to be part of the dynamic environment. But you didn't do that. Now, because Microsoft failed, instead of going at them and letting them know they failed and they failed the wrong way, now all of a sudden you guys are no longer console gamers. You completely act like you've never been console gamers. Absolutely asinine, right? So right now, the last two console gamers again is PlayStation and Nintendo, and that's pretty much it. And we'll see how that goes. But ultimately, an environment where games are everywhere is not a competitive market for gaming. It's just not. It's not going to be competitive for ideas. They're not going to have that level of competition. It's just going to be everywhere. It's going to be available. And you're not going to have that thirst of platform providers saying, no, we got to find a way to make people play here, buy our shit. We're going to have the great ideas, the great concepts. That's going to go away holistically. Really, I think Nintendo might be the last bastion of that. And you know what? I can see if PlayStation goes day and day with PC and then all that shit gets nonsense, I think that might put Nintendo back into the console hardware business, because now they can say, hey, we got a powerful hardware console with the best specs and all this stuff and real true exclusives you cannot get anywhere else. And that will be an attractive product, right? If Nintendo comes back to actual home console gaming with actual up-to-date latest tech and hardware, and they tell you we actually have exclusives, right? You can't get this on PC, you can't get this on PlayStation, you can't get this on Xbox. There is no harmony. We got true exclusives built to this hardware that could bring back the old Nintendo of the 80s and 90s, where everybody wants to play on Nintendo. I can see that happening if PlayStation gives up the whole exclusive and just goes days and day on PC. Nintendo can easily be like, yep, we're back in the boys. Because then at that point, what does PlayStation have to offer? They don't offer exclusives. Nintendo would offer true exclusives. So the future could be back how we started. And what I mean by started, after the crash of video games, with Nintendo dominating, we could come back to that world. And guess what? If Nintendo does come back to the classic console, the stuff I grew up on, the Super NES, the NES, the N64, if they come back to that and they have true exclusives that just blows out the stuff, of course I will come back to Nintendo too. Nintendo PC. It's amazing how things might come full circle, but we'll see how it is. This is your only friend, these YouTube streets, Puerto77. Let me know what you think about this video. Puerto77, I'm out of here. You guys have a great weekend. Peace.
Grand opening, grand closing.